Good morning, one and all. So, in the previous session, we have been discussed about what is actually the income demand here. So, what is the income demand schedule here? Income demand shows the relationship between the income of the various levels of income of the consumer and the quantity demand of a goods and services. Different quantity demand of a goods and services will be showing by the income demand we have been discussed here. So, here income demand schedule. So income demand schedule will be consisting of the various levels of prices, various levels of various income levels, and the quantity demanded of a different goods will be shown here. So based on this, so here that the income demand for the superior goods or the normal goods we are going to be learning now here. Income demand for the superior goods or the normal. Superior goods is also called it as and what here normal goods. Superior goods is also called it as and what here normal goods here. So in case of the superior goods or the normal goods, in case of the superior goods or the normal goods, the quantity demanded increases. The quantity demanded increases when the income when the increase in the income of the consumer here. So when the income of the consumer will be increased, so the quantity demanded of the superior goods and the normal goods will be also increase here. Superior goods or normal goods will be also increase here. So income demand for the superior goods, income demand for the superior goods exhibits the a positive relationship between the income and quantity demanded here. Income and quantity demanded. In such a case, the demand curve will be sloping upwards from the left to right here. So in such a case, the demand curve is going to be shifting from the left to right, upward sloping. Left to right, upward sloping. So what we'll be doing here, in case of the superior or the normal goods, in case of the superior or the normal goods, so here that the quantity demanded increases, the quantity demanded increases when there is an increase in the income of the consumer. When there is an increase in the income of the consumer's income increases, the demand for the superior or the normal goods will be also increase here. The superior or the normal goods will be also increase here. Income demand for the superior or normal goods will be exhibiting the positive relationship between the income and quantity demanded. So positive relationship between income and quantity demanded of a commodity, income of the consumer and quantity demanded of the commodity. So positive relationship is going to be existing here. So when there is a positive relationship, so income increases, quantity demand will also increase. Increase decreases, quantity demand will also decrease. There is no decrease in the income levels. Always it is going on showing the increase in the income levels here. So here that the graphical representation we are going to be seeing now. OX axis, OY axis, this is of 0 here. This is of OX axis, this is of OY axis, this is of 0 here. On OY axis, we are going to measuring the income of the consumer. Income of the consumer. On OY axis, we are going to measuring the income of the consumer. On OX axis, we are going to measuring the quantity demand of a commodity. So on OY axis, income of the consumer will be measured. On OX axis, quantity demanded of a commodity is going to be measured here. So when the income is OY, so quantity demanded will be of OQ. When the income of the consumer will be OY, so the quantity demanded of a commodity is OX. So when the income of the consumer will be increasing, from OY to OY1, income of the consumer will be increasing from OY to OY1. So the quantity demanded will be also increased from OQ to OQ1. So what will happen when the income of the consumer will be increasing from OY to OY1? So the quantity demanded will be also increasing from OQ to OQ1 here. So now the demand curve will be sloping upwards from the left to right. So now the demand curve is going to be sloping upwards from the left to right, upward sloping curve. So which shows of what here? Positive relation. Income increases, quantity demand will be also increase here. So that's what we are saying. On OX axis, we are going to be measuring the quantity demanded of a commodity. On OY axis, we are going to be measuring the income of the consumer here. So here that the mainly it represents the income of the consumer. So why YD will be showing it as an YD will be showing of what here? Income demand of a consumer here. YD will be showing of what here? Income demand of a consumer. So it shows the positive, which slopes the positive slope here, which showing of YD curve will be showing of what here? Positive slope. From left to right, upward sloping is called it as an what here? Positive slope of the income demand. When income increases to OY to OY1, so the quantity demand will be also increasing. Income increases from OY to OY1, so quantity demand will be also increasing from OQ to OQ1 here. So here this may be happen in case of Veblen goods here. We have been finding this exceptional cases, Veblen cases. We have been expected as income increases, that the quantity demand for these goods will be also increase here. In case of the superior goods, demand curve slope upwards from the left to right here. So let us discuss income demand for the inferior goods. Let us discuss about the income demand for the inferior goods here. So on the contrary, quantity demand for inferior goods decreases. Quantity demand for the inferior goods is going to be, here it is going to be increased, but here it is going to be decreasing. For the sake of inferior goods, it is going to be decreasing here. So here on the contrary, quantity demand of inferior goods, quantity demand for the inferior goods is going to be decreases with the increase in the income of the consumer. Consumer's income increases, quantity demand for the inferior goods is going to be decreasing. Decreasing అంటే ఏంటి? తగ్గుతుంది. ఇక్కడ అక్కడేమో పెరుగుతుంది. సుపీరియర్ గూడ్స్, నార్మల్ గూడ్స్ కి ఏమో ఇన్కమ్ ఇంక్రీజ్ అయితే క్వాంటిటీ డిమాండ్ కూడా ఇంక్రీజ్ అవుతుంది. కానీ ఇక్కడ ఇన్ఫీరియర్ గూడ్స్ కి ఇన్కమ్ ఇంక్రీజ్ అయితే ఏమవుతుంది? క్వాంటిటీ డిమాండ్ అనేది ఇన్ఫీరియర్ గూడ్స్ కి తగ్గుతుంది, రెడ్యూసింగ్. So here on the contrary, quantity demand for a inferior goods decreases with an increase in the income of the consumer here. So income demand for the inferior goods is inverse relationship. Income demand for the inferior goods shows the inverse relationship between, inverse in the sense what here? Negative relationship between the income of the consumer and the quantity demanded of a commodity here. In such a case, demand curve is going to be sloping downwards from the left to right here. Downwards from the left to right. By seeing this particular graph easily you can understand here. This is of OY axis, this is of 0, this is of OX axis. This is of OY axis, this is of 0, this is of OX axis. On OY axis we are measuring the income of the consumer, on OX axis we are measuring the quantity demanded of a commodity. Quantity demanded of a commodity will be measured on OX axis, income of the consumer will be measured on OY axis. Income of the consumer will be measured on the OY axis here. So now here when the income is OY, OQ is the quantity demanded, OY is the income, so OQ is the quantity demanded of a commodity. Income of the OY is the income, OQ is the quantity demanded of a commodity here. So with the income increases from OY to OY1, income has been increased from OY to OY1. So for the case of inferior goods, the quantity demanded is going to be decreasing. So the quantity demanded is going to be decreasing. The quantity demanded is going to be what will be happening here? It is going to be decreasing. So now the demand curve will be what will be happen here? YD will be showing it as an income demand curve. YD will be showing of what here? Income demand curve here. It shows of what here? Downward sloping curve. Downward, that is the native sloping curve of a demand curve will be arising here. So here what is the graph that we are going to writing on OX axis. On OX axis quantity demanded is measured, on OY axis we are measuring the income of the consumer here. So OY is the income, so OQ is the quantity demanded. So income level has been increased from OY to OY1. So quantity demanded has been further inferior goods has been decreased from OQ to OQ1 here. OQ to OQ1 here. So YD will be the showing as income demand curve here, which shows the negative relationship. So in case of the inferior goods, the income demand curve sloping the downward sloping, downward from the left to right, downward sloping. Here it is upward sloping, but here it is a downward sloping demand curve will be showing here. So this is the income demand curve here. So that the third type. Next is what here? The third type. Third type is what here? Cross demand curve. The third type is what here? Cross demand curve. The third type is what here? The types of demand. Cross demand is the third type here. The third type of a demand is what here? Cross demand here. So let us know what is actually the, till now we haven't learned what is the price demand. Price demand is also called it as a law of demand. And the second one is income demand, we haven't learned here. So now let us discuss about the cross demand. What is actually the cross demand here? So cross demand refers to the relationship between the relationship between the any two goods. Cross demand refers to the relationship between the any two goods which are either complementary or in the form of an complementary to each other or substitute to each other here. So cross demand, what it will be showing us here? So cross demand refers to the relationship between any two goods. సో ఏం చూస్తుంది క్రాస్ డిమాండ్ రిలేషన్షిప్ వాటి మధ్యలో ఉన్న వాటి మధ్య గల సంబంధాన్ని ఏ రెండు వస్తువుల మధ్య గల అయిన సంబంధాన్ని ఇక్కడ మన క్రాస్ డిమాండ్ అనేది చూపిస్తుంది. సో క్రాస్ డిమాండ్ రెఫర్స్ టు ద రిలేషన్షిప్ బిట్వీన్ ద ఎనీ టూ goods which are either complementary to each other or substitute of each other here, or substitute of each other. Substitute గా ఏవైనా రెండు సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ గూడ్స్ కావచ్చు, ఏవైనా రెండు కాంప్లిమెంటరీ గూడ్స్ కావచ్చు. వాటి మధ్యలో ఉన్న రిలేషన్షిప్ ని క్రాస్ డిమాండ్ అనేది చూపిస్తుంది అన్నమాట. వాటి మధ్యలో ఉన్న రిలేషన్షిప్ ని క్రాస్ డిమాండ్ అనేది చూపిస్తుంది మనకి. సో ఇట్ ఇండికేట్స్ ద క్వాంటిటీ ఆఫ్ ఎ గూడ్. Cross demand indicates the quantity of a good demanded when the price of the substitute or complementary goods change here. When the price of the complementary good or substitute good may be changed, the quantity demanded of a good is going to be, how it is going to be getting the change, it will be showing here. So in short, the functional relationship between the price of the commodity X, the functional relationship between what actually cross demand showing? Functional relationship between the commodity say Y and the quantity demanded of another commodity say X is called it as what here? Cross demand. So now you can see cross demand refers the relationship between the cross demand refers the relationship between cross demand refers the relationship between any two goods which are either complementary to each other either complementary to each other either complementary to each other or substitute for each other or substitutes for each other, either complementary to each other or substitutes for each other is called it as in what here? That the cross demand here. So it indicates the quantity demanded of a cross demand indicates the quantity demanded of a when the price of the either it's complementary goods or the substitute goods are going to be getting the change here. So in short, it shows the functional that the cross demand shows the functional relationship between the price of the commodity say Y and the quantity demanded of another commodity say X here. So it can be called it as a cross demand here. So mathematical expression for the cross demand so d of x is equals to f of p of y. D of x is equals to f of p of y here. So where d of x is demand for the x commodity, where d of x is equals to demand for x commodity. F shows the functional relationship functional relationship. Y shows, P of Y shows of what here? Price of the Y commodity. P of Y shows of what here? Price of Y commodity. P of X shows for what here? Demand for X commodity. F shows the functional relationship. P of Y shows of what here? Price of Y commodity. P of Y shows of what here? Price of Y commodity here. So here cross demand refers to, cross demand is going to be referred to certain commodities. Cross demand is going to be referred to certain commodities whose demand depends on not only on their particular prices, the commodities the commodities demand not only depends on the price of that particular commodity but also on the prices of related goods. ఆ వస్తువు యొక్క ధర పైన ఆ వస్తువు యొక్క డిమాండ్ ఆ వస్తువు యొక్క ధర పైన కాకుండా వేరే వస్తువుల యొక్క అంటే ఏంటి సబ్స్టిట్యూట్స్ కానీ కాంప్లిమెంటరీ గూడ్స్ కానీ అదర్ రిలేటెడ్ గూడ్స్ యొక్క ధరల వల్ల కూడా ఈ వస్తువు యొక్క డిమాండ్లో మార్పు అనేది రావచ్చు. ఈ వస్తువు యొక్క డిమాండ్లో మార్పు అనేది రావచ్చు అని అక్కడ చెప్తున్నారు. ఏమని? క్రాస్ డిమాండ్ రిఫర్స్ టు cross demand is going to be referred to a certain commodities whose demand is going to be depends not only on the price but also not only on their price, ఆ వస్తువు యొక్క ధర పైనే కాకుండా అండ్ బట్ ఆల్సో ప్రైసెస్ ఆఫ్ రిలేటెడ్ గూడ్స్, వేరే వస్తువుల యొక్క ధరల వల్ల కూడా ఈ వస్తువు యొక్క క్వాంటిటీ డిమాండ్లో మార్పు అనేది రావచ్చు. సో హియర్ దట్ ద ప్రైస్ బట్ ఆల్సో ఆన్ ద ప్రైసెస్ ఆఫ్ ద రిలేటెడ్ గూడ్స్ ఇన్ ద సెన్స్ ఐదర్ ఇట్ మే బి ఇన్ ద ఫార్మ్ ఆఫ్ an substitute goods or it may be in the form of a complementary goods we have been discussed here. So the related goods may be either substitutes or it may be the complementary goods here. So other such as other things remains constant, means price of the goods, income and taste and preference of the consumer is going to be constant here. మిగతావన్నీ కూడా కాన్స్టెంట్, వాటిలో ఏ తేడా లేదు. ఓన్లీ సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ గూడ్స్ కాంప్లిమెంటరీ గూడ్స్ ధరల మార్పుల వల్ల ఈ వస్తువు యొక్క క్వాంటిటీ డిమాండ్ లో మార్పు రావడం అన్నమాట. Remaining same. So the quantity demand of a commodity will be depends on price of the related goods here. So let us take in the case of substitute goods and in the case of complementary goods we are going to be discussing here. Substitute goods. First we are going to be discussing about the substitute goods. So cross demand in the case of the substitute goods we are going to be. Cross demand in the case of the substitute goods first we are going to be discussed here. So here substitute goods are those goods. Substitute goods are those goods which satisfy the same want. Substitute goods are those goods which satisfy the same want. So for example, tea and coffee. Tea and coffee we can take. Colgate and Close-Up we can take. And Pepsi and Coca-Cola are the examples we can take for the substitute goods here. So here substitute goods are those goods. Substitute goods are those goods which satisfy the same want. ఒకే రకమైనటువంటి కోరికలు తీర్చగలిగే రెండు వస్తువులు ఏమంటున్నాం అక్కడ? సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ గూడ్స్ అని అంటున్నాం. ఒకే రకమైనటువంటి కోరికను తీర్చగలిగేటటువంటి రెండు వస్తువుల్ని సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ గూడ్స్ అని అంటున్నాం. So here the substitute goods are those goods which satisfy the same want. So what we can take examples? Tea and coffee. Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Pepsi and Coca-Cola. We had Colgate and Close-Up, etc. We can take the examples. Some of the examples we are taking for the substitute goods here. So in the case of the schedule for the substitute goods, based on the schedule for the substitute goods, we are going to be drawing the cross demand curve here. Schedule for substitute goods. Schedule for the substitute goods we are taking. Coffee and tea, both we are any two substitute goods you can take. Colgate, Close-Up you can take, Pepsi and Coca-Cola you can take, tea and coffee. These are the very close substitutes. No, that's what we are going to be taking, tea and coffee here. So coffee and tea these two are the very closer substitutes here. These two are the very closer substitutes. So prices in rupees for this coffee we are taking, and demand in cups also we are taking. Here also prices in rupees for the tea and demand for the cups we are going to be taking. Prices in rupees. Prices in rupees. Price in rupees. Price in rupees. Demand of cups. Demand for cups. Here also price in rupees. Price in rupees. Demand for cups. Demand for cups. Price in rupees. Demand for cups we are going to be taking here. So when the coffee rate is 10 rupees, so 500 cups are going to be demanded. 500 cups are going to be demanded. So when the price of the tea is of 10 rupees, so demanded cups will be of 500. Demanded cups will be of 500. So here the coffee rate has been reduced to 9 rupees. The coffee rate has been reduced from 10 rupees to 9 rupees. తగ్గింది 10 rupees నుంచి 9 rupees కి తగ్గింది. అంటే డిమాండ్ పెరుగుతుంది కదా 600 cups. The demand increased to 600 cup. So the tea rate will be same 10 rupees. The tea rate will be same 10 rupees. So even we are getting the lesser rate in the coffee. So how can we will demand more of the cup of tea here? So that's what the demand for these goods has been reduced here. The demand for these goods టీ హ్యాస్ బీన్ రెడ్యూస్డ్ హియర్. తక్కువ రేట్కి కాఫీ దొరుకుతుంటే మనం టీకి డిమాండ్ ఇస్తామా, కాఫీకి డిమాండ్ పెరుగుతుందా? ఆటోమేటికలీ కాఫీ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు బి గెటింగ్ ద డిమాండెడ్ ఆర్ నాట్ హియర్, మోర్ డిమాండ్. సో దట్స్ వాట్ ఇట్ విల్ బి షోయింగ్ ద రిలేషన్షిప్ హియర్. సో ద షేబుల్ షోస్ ద పాజిటివ్ రిలేషన్షిప్ బిట్వీన్ ద price of the coffee and the quantity demanded of a tea here. Price of the coffee and quantity demanded of a tea will be shown here. So price reduces, demand for the tea cups is also reduced. Price of the coffee reduces, demand for the tea is also reduced. Price increases, so demand for the coffee is going to be increases here. So positive relationship will be showing here. So here that shows the positive relationship between the price of the coffee and quantity demanded of a tea here. So here if these two goods are close substitutes, tea and coffee are the close substitutes we can say here. So they will satisfy the same want. Drinking of tea or coffee, hotly if you want to drink anything, so if you are taking the tea also your want is going to be satisfied. Coffee also your want is going to be satisfied here. So for instance tea and coffee are the close substitutes. If the price of the coffee decreases, the quantity demanded for a tea is going to be decreasing. Price of the coffee is decreases, quantity demanded for tea is going to be decreasing. Price of the tea has been increased, so quantity demanded for the coffee is also going to be increasing here. So here though the constant, however relative price of when the relative price of a tea were compared, the price of the coffee becomes higher. Price of the coffee becomes higher, therefore consumers shift their demand from tea to coffee here. Yes, automatically price reduces, demand is going to be increasing here. So in the same way the price of the coffee increases, the price of the coffee is going to be increases, the quantity demand for tea is also going to be increased, even though its price is constant here. Constant, there is no change also, the quantity demand for tea is going to be increasing here. In case of substitutes, the demand curve possesses the positive slope here, slope upward here. Positive slope will be showing here, sloping upward. You can see here OY axis, OX axis, this is a 0. This is the quantity demanded. Always on the X axis we are measuring the quantity demanded. Always we are going to measuring the quantity demanded of tea. We are taking quantity demanded of tea will be measured on the OX axis. Price of the coffee we are taking on the OY axis. Price of coffee. Price of coffee will be measured on the OY axis. When the OP is the price, OQ is the quantity. When the OP is the price, OQ is the quantity. So price has been increased from OP to OP1. So quantity demand will be also increased from OQ to OQ1 here. So now the demand curve is going to be shifting upwards. The demand curve is going to be shifting upwards here. CD is what here? Cross demand curve here. CD will be showing up what here? Cross demand curve here. On the OX axis we are measuring the quantity demanded of a tea. On OY axis we are measuring the price of the coffee here. Price of the coffee. So here the increase in price of the coffee, OP2, increase in price of the coffee, OP2, OP1. So the quantity demanded for the tea has been increased from OQ to OQ1 here. It leads to an increase in the quantity demanded of a OQ to OQ1. Hence demand curve will be the substitute goods will be slopes from left to right upwards. Substitute goods ki upward sloping demand curve CD will be showing here. Increase the substitute goods cross demand will be positive, it is going to be showing here. Then case of the complementary goods. In the case of complementary goods. In the case of complementary goods. So, in the case of complementary goods, what is actually the complementary goods here? So, complementary goods are those goods which satisfy the same want jointly. Same want jointly. రెండు వస్తువులు కలిసి ఒకే రకమైనటువంటి కోరికను తీర్చే వాటిని అక్కడ ఏంటి మనము కాంప్లిమెంటరీ గూడ్స్ అని అంటున్నాం. కాంప్లిమెంటరీ గూడ్స్ అంటే ఏంటి? రెండు వేరు వేరు రకాలైనటువంటి వస్తువులు కలిసి ఒకే కోరికను తీర్చగలిగేవి. ఒకే కోరికను తీర్చగలిగే వాటిని ఏమంటున్నాము? కాంప్లిమెంటరీ గూడ్స్ అని అంటున్నాం. సో హియర్ కాంప్లిమెంటరీ గూడ్స్ ఆర్ దోస్ గూడ్స్. కాంప్లిమెంటరీ గూడ్స్ ఆర్ దోస్ గూడ్స్ విచ్ సాటిస్ఫై ద సేమ్ వాంట్ జాయింట్లీ. ఒకే రకమైనటువంటి కోరికను రెండు వేరు వేరు వస్తువులు అక్కడ తీరుస్తున్నాయి మనకి. సో ఫర్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ కార్ అండ్ ఫ్యూయల్. Car and fuel are the examples we can take for the complementary goods here. Shoe and socks, bread and butter, etc. We can take it as an examples for the complementary goods here. So here the table 3.4 will be showing of inverse relationship. So that the schedule for the complementary goods will be showing the schedule for the complementary goods is going to be showing the inverse relationship between the quantity demanded, inverse relationship to price of the fuel and quantity demanded of a cars here. So if the price of the fuel decreases, the quantity demand for the cars may be increase here. Quantity demand for the car may be increase. Price of the fuel is going to be decreases. Quantity demand for the car is going to be increases here. So it shows the negative relationship. Downward sloping demand curve is going to be arising here. Schedule for complementary goods. Schedule for complementary goods. Schedule for complementary goods. So now you can see we are going to be taking the fuel and cars. Car, fuel we are going to take. Here this part we are going to be denoting for car. This part we are going to be denoting for fuel here. So in car we are going to be taking price in lakhs. Price rupees in lakhs. Price rupees in lakhs. Price rupees in lakhs and demand. Demand for cost. Fuel also price in rupees. Price in rupees. Fuel for demand. We are going to get demand. So here the car rate will be of 5 lakhs. The car rate will be of 5 lakhs. Demand for cars is how much? 1,000. Demand for cars is how much? 1,000 here. So here price of the cars will be of 5 lakhs only. The demand for the cars is 2,000. The demand for the cars is 2,000 here. So the price of the fuel is 75 rupees in liters. 75 rupees per liter. So the demand for the cars is how much? 500. The demand for the car is how much here? 500 here. So now the price fuel rate has been reduced to 75 rupees to 50 rupees. 75 rupees to 50 rupees. The demand for the cars is going to be increased from 500 to 1,000. 500 to 1,000. 500 to 1,000 rupees it has been increased here. So based on this we can draw the complementary goods that the demand curve we are going to be drawing. So now we can see, observe here. Y-axis, x-axis 0. Quantity demanded of cars. Quantity demanded of cars will be measured on the y-axis. Price of fuel will be measured on y-axis. Price of fuel will be measured on y-axis. Quantity demanded of cars will be measured on y-axis. Price of fuel will be measured on the y-axis here. So now you can see when the OP is the price, when the fuel rate is OP, OQ is the quantity demanded. So quantity demanded of cars will be 500. We are going to be showing here. So that the fuel rate has been reduced from OP to OP1. Fuel rate has been reduced to OP to OP1. So quantity demanded for the cars is going to be increased from OQ to OQ1. quantity demand for the cars is going to be increased from OQ to OQ1 OQ to OQ1 here. So now the demand curve, cross demand curve will be sloping downwards here from left to right. CD is the cross demand curve which is going to be sloping downwards. From the left to right we are going to be finding. From the left to right we are going to be finding here. So here what will be arising here? That the so on y axis we are going to be measuring the quantity demanded of cars. So on y axis we are going to be measuring the price of the fuel we have been measured here. So when the OP is the price, OP is the price of the fuel. So quantity demanded of a car will be lower here. So the price of the fuel has been reduced from OP to OP1. So quantity demanded of the cars will be increased from OQ to OQ1 here. Which shows of what here? That the negative relationship between the negative for the case of complementary goods, negative relationship between the price of the commodity and the quantity demanded of a commodity here. Always it is going to be showing of what here? Inverse relationship will be showing in case of the complementary goods here. So this is nothing but the complementary demand curve here. Complementary demand curve. With this, the part A of demand analysis has been finished. In the next class, we are going to be discussed about the part B called it as an elasticity of demand.